Welcome back to the Automotive Market Minute, in which may or may not take just over a minute. My name is Steven Georgella.
My name is Phil Tripatowski.
And I'm James Sivko.
We have a very special action-packed episode of the Market Minute. Leads are up. Work those leads. Inventory issues at Chevy. Do you need to save the bullets? Are we finally seeing some of the best factory support of the last 3, 4, 5 years? We're hearing profit warnings from the different factories. Hey, you know what? Just write off 2025. It's going to look like garbage. No expectations. We're looking to 2026. We're going to be talking about incentives, strong GDP, talking about rate expectations. And Mr. Sivko, the Brainiac, has a little bit of bonus for you that probably will help you with your used car operation. With that said, let's see how the nation did in the month of July. If you enjoyed this video, hit subscribe. It's free, and we want to make more videos that you love for people just like you. Thanks for the support. A heater. We've got traffic up 3.1%. We have leads up 25% at our dealerships. That's one of the biggest increases we have seen in the history of the Automotive Market Minute. We saw appointments up. New sales and used sales continue to thrive, even though market day supply, which Mr. Phil Tripatowski will cover here in a minute, even though market day supply still continues to be fairly tight. Now, a lot of interesting stuff that could happen here in the next 30 to 60 days regarding the Fed, regarding the factory support, the factory moves. We saw, as I mentioned, these massive incentives come out during the month of June into July, and it looks to be that it continues during the month of August. We just got the 10th update for all of our dealers, and new was just a tiny bit off from the month of July, but used continues to steamroll forward, even though, again, inventory is tight. With that said, Philski, go ahead.
From a national standpoint, we have seen new retail sales stay above 2024 levels. They are up 5% year to date. The used retail market continues to stay hot. I'll touch on inventory here in just a second, but used retail sales are up 4% year to date. If we take a look at inventory, new inventory came in at 2.7 million units. New day supply is at 76.4 days. It's 13% lower against 2024. We've started to hear, especially on the Chevrolet side, that some of these manufacturers are getting a little bit lean. So we talk about, Steve mentioned, saving your bullets. It's important to keep your factory objective in mind. Look at the incoming allocation that your dealership has and make sure that you're not selling too many units to put your store in a vulnerable position here in the later months in 2025.
Phil, if I'm not mistaken, I'll use a quick quote here from one of our dealers. We got the fortunate to have the #1 Chevrolet dealer in the state of Georgia. They're sitting there going, the freight train is absolutely rolling, and we got to hit the brakes a little bit. We're going to screw ourselves for the month of September. We got to hit the brakes a little bit. Normally selling 200 plus new units per month. What's the number this month? Did I hear 150?
150 and not a car more.
Heat check. Can I get a heat check? Somebody pass this man the ball.
And the used retail market continues to stay extremely tight. You can actually see this latest data point came in at a 4-month low for this time out of the last 4 years. Used day supply is sitting at 45.6 days. That is down about 4% against the latest year. Now, what's driving this reduction in new inventory in particular, keeping the used market tight and new vehicle sales higher? Well, we've seen factories and manufacturers get way more aggressive here. The share of all vehicles offering a low APR financing was pretty high at the end of 2024. We saw the share of low APR rates then fall significantly in the spring. Now, July came in at a 3+ year high, and August is currently even stronger than that. So manufacturers are getting way more aggressive, and that could explain the improving trend that we are seeing in new retail sales that you really saw start to pick up towards the end of July and into the beginning of August.
Incentives, it looks like across the board, are hotter than a koala in South Wales. This stuff's absolutely crazy at this point.
That's one way to put it. The economy looks like it's holding up quite well. So, James, we have the latest GDP number. Tell us more about what we're seeing.
We got a great print in the second half. Keep in mind, there's about 3% of inflation on top of this. So the economy, this real GDP growth plus inflation is growing at about 6%. It's difficult to see a recession from a number like that. It takes a while for the momentum to slow down. This is a number that's been pushed around a lot. It's been pushed around by a shrinking trade deficit, which might be forcing this up. It's been moved around by tariffs as well and increased government collections. I know that tariffs have gone from 0.5% of the U.S. economy to probably knocking on the door of 2. That's a negative number in there too. So a noisy number, but still a pretty strong number. So this kind of momentum can easily carry to the back half of the year, and we can be forestalling the recession from one of the longest economic expansions ever since 2009. This is the betting markets. And if you keep in mind that the US economy spends about 17, maybe 18% of its time in a recession, there's a shorter window here. You're going to get 2 prints. What are the chances that both of those prints are negative? Well, the betting market's putting about a 16% chance on that. This is probably way too high. It's a short window. It's got to be exactly the next 2 quarters. I don't think you're going to see it. This number, any other time, given a long enough window, should be 19%. Really short window, 2 prints. I mean, this number should be something like 3%. So the betting markets are a little elevated because betting markets like to bet things that happen, not bet things won't happen. I think we're going to have a pretty good rest of the year. We did get a weak jobs report. We certainly on this podcast have complained about Bureau of Labor Statistics reporting and government statistics now since the beginning. And so we do have a little bit of a controversial payroll print. And this is a little weak. If you put the last 3 months together, they are the weakest quarter, if you will, of payroll growth going back 5 or 6 years. However, something's hidden in the numbers. And there is a natural break in these numbers, and that is the foreign-born workforce is shrinking. Foreign-born workers are leaving the country voluntarily or involuntarily, and they're exiting the workforce. And this is a pretty impressive reversal here in January of the composition of the labor force. One of the problems we've been having since 2009 is all of the job growth has been for foreign-born workers. U.S. workers really have not seen any job growth at all. The current administration has really reversed that rather sharply. So any jobs print is going to have this over to the right here in the graph, is going to have this natural speed break on it. So the prints might not be very strong, but if you are a US born worker or a naturalized citizen and someone who's been here for a while, your job market is finally improving. That's probably 10 years overdue.
So, James, real quick, a question for you for all the viewers back at home. Would you say that in this market where we've seen in many small towns where restaurants can't get workers, you're seeing restaurants fold because they don't even have enough workers to support the restaurant, the HVAC guys, the plumbers, et cetera, the list goes on, that they really struggle to get enough people. Does this just perpetuate the issue, or what would change the situation for the better if, in fact, there's now less people that are able to work?
A ton of native born workers have left the workforce over the last decade. We've had a shrinking workforce, and that is defined by, are you out there looking for a job? And so over time, wages unfortunately will have to go up. It'll be tougher to keep running your business in the black because your wages are going up. But this should pull more US born workers back into the workforce over time. It's going to be a tough adjustment. I don't think that there's a light at the end of the tunnel yet. Sometimes our dealers are struggling for workers. It's still going to be a tough labor market, and you're just going to have to leave with some cash. This is the chart of rate cut speculations. We had the interest rate market that as recently as 8 months ago was looking for something like 6 or 8 rate cuts. I think we are looking at potentially 2 rate cuts by the end of the year. This is percentage chance in each bucket of cuts between now and the end of the year. That's essentially what this table is. Most of the street is settling on 2 cuts. Gosh, I mean, there still seems to be a lot of people who think that we're going to see a full point of rate cuts between now and the end of the year. There aren't that many Fed meetings between now and the end of the year. This would be a Fed that would be on the front foot, cutting all the time. It does seem like we have a Federal Reserve that is digging in their heels and that doesn't want to cut. I do think the chart on the next page is useful for 2 reasons. One is this market is often wrong. The solid blue line is where short rates are, and the dotted lines, the so-called whiskers, this is called a whisker chart, is where the market thinks that these rates should be. Now, for a lot of technical reasons, the whisker should almost always point upwards. But even at market turning points, the market is not very good at deciphering where rates are going to go. And the second important thing about this chart, and I think it's something we all need to realize, is 0% interest rates are not coming back. So wherever this rate cycle bottoms out, it's not going to be zero. We probably will be lucky to get halfway back to zero. If you're making any plans based on the free money era coming back, there are a lot of factors that are going to prevent that from being the case.
So I'm seeing a couple of people that are telling me 1.5% from the Fed by the end of 2026. That mean rates hanging out, mortgage rates 4.5%, something like that.
You can make a lot of money taking the other side of that bet.
I thought so as well. I
yeah.
thought, I mean, you're talking about a 50 bip cut like 4 times.
There is a giant part of our economy that needs lower rates. Real estate, realtors, home builders, and they are often loud, and Wall Street likes to amplify. Wall Street, I think, is always a little bullish on rate cuts. I don't necessarily think that we are going to get 6 rate cuts unless we are in a really bad economy.
James, if I also understand correctly, the last time that the Fed cut rates, what happened to the 10-year? The 10-year actually went up.
This is another interesting phenomenon too, is in our business, we are looking at 3-year and 5-year paper. If the Fed cuts too far or too fast, 3 or 5-year paper could go up and it really could be meaningless to us. None of the benefits will accrue to us and the car buyer because car loans could become marginally more expensive. It's really something to keep an eye on. As the population shrinks and demographics change, if you're looking at the body shop and you're seeing what looks like a down year in terms of volume, don't get mad and fire the manager because there just are less accidents. And there are less accidents because there are a lot less drivers on the road. And there are a lot less drivers on the road because many of them are leaving or many of them aren't going to work because they are afraid of immigration enforcement. And so it's actually showing up in data. Like this is 7 months of car accident data from New York and Los Angeles. And you can see this is an inexplicable drop other than the fact that there just aren't the drivers on the road that we have had over the last decades. So we're seeing about an 8 to 10% drop in car accidents, and we're seeing it on both coasts. I think this implies we're probably seeing it everywhere. So it's okay if you're seeing less volume in the body shop.
James brought this to the table, and I'll tell you, I asked him immediately, Mr. Simcoe, take it away.
Absolutely. Color matters. This is from our friends over at IC Cars. We talk about 3-year depreciation of used cars in many contexts here on the podcast. We have talked about it in terms of lease, in terms of a pileup of lease renewals. This gets interesting. Chart on the left, this is 3-year depreciation by color. On average, these cars lose about 31% of their value across all model types. But what is most interesting is some of the rarer colors, gold, yellow, orange, green, depreciate a lot less in the used car market. And this is interesting for you if you see something at auction and it's one of these weird colors that we are all naturally afraid of. I mean, it's like nature, like, oh, this has got to be poisonous. That yellow car is going to do great. That yellow car over a 3-year period of time depreciates much less. They are so rare. A yellow car is something like 30 basis points of what leaves the factory door. And the population of people who are buying a used car who just want to express themselves a little bit with the color is greater than that. And so there is demand there, and that's over there by color. Where the game gets interesting is in the pickup truck market, because if you stand up from your desk and adjust the mini blinds behind you and look out over your used car and truck parking lot, you're going to see a ton of white pickup trucks. I mean, opening up a can of orange on it might be interesting. If you're really, really aggressive, maybe even a can of yellow, you might have a totally different experience. You can't do it with every single truck. You probably do it with one once in a blue moon. But if you need to pull a rabbit out of a hat, that might be a way to do it. And I bet you the cost of a paint job will return 3 or 4x on a pickup truck.
To many dealers, this can be seen as like a poisonous idea. Is that correct?
They're just like a special baseball card, is rare. That shows up in value. A white pickup truck painted orange or yellow might really return for you.
You know what they say? Eucalyptus leaves are poisonous to nearly all animals. You know which animal can digest them with no problem whatsoever? Which one, James?
Is it the koala bear?
It's the koala, and you, Mr.
Wow.
Dealer, can be just like the koala, right? Great tips here at the Automotive Market Minute. We're in a special spot here in the automotive industry. We have this feeling like on the horizon, we're going to see some rate cuts. I think James and Phil, you guys are closest to this. You feel like there's going to be some rate cuts coming.
Yeah. But again, the market is often wrong.
James, what do rate cuts look like for the rest of the year, Mr. Nostradamus?
I think we get one in November.
50 bips?
25 bips.
25 bips one time in November, which if Trump gets one 25 bip cut for the rest of the year, his head might explode.
He will not be happy. He will be disappointed. He will be
We'll
disappointed.
see. What's your bet, bud?
I think we get 2 cuts this year, both 25 bips.
Okay, you heard the bets here. There's definitely going to be some sort of surprise for Wolvers right here. I mean, I'll say mine. I'm going to go with the over on 25 bips for the rest of the year. I'll take the under on 75 bips. I guess I gave myself a little bit more than you guys did there, but a really interesting spot in the automotive market. The factories have really bumped up their support levels, which looks pretty interesting from a new vehicle standpoint. But then all of a sudden, dealers like Chevrolet, like Migo Chevy, have to now save their bullets. So they're having issues with inventory. So it's interesting. Just as support comes, now there's not enough vehicles. We're seeing some stabilization from Stellantis. We're going to have a very interesting August and September, and we will be ready here on the Automotive Market Minute to report back not only the macro trends, but what's happening with our dealers. And so, on behalf of my esteemed colleagues, Mr. James Sivko and Phil Trematowski, my name is Steven Georgel. I am pumped up to see you guys in September on the Automotive Market Minute. See ya.